Here's another edition of the On the Mic podcast. And I always say I don't like to fanboy out, but I'm definitely fanboying out on this interview because during the entire 2022 PFL season, from Challenger Series on, I was like, this guy's got talent. His record shows it. And he just showed it when he punched his ticket, no pun intended, to the PFL championships, the one and only Dilano Taylor. How are you, sir?
I'm great, Mike. I'm great. How you doing?
I'm good, man. And that's not blowing smoke. Like you're one of those guys where, and I'm not like the Luke Thomases of the world. I'm not, the technical breakdown guy out there, but there's something for me when you see a guy, just the way you carry yourself, the way you perform inside the cage, man, win or loss, I was a Dilano Taylor fan. So, I really appreciate you making the time. It's been a journey though. And I think more than most promotions, a fighter can get their journey back on track in the PFL faster than anywhere else. UFC, Bellator, you went through that all this year. What was this season? I know we're going to talk about, the finals and obviously your last fight, but what was the season like for you?
Man, this season was probably, I want to say like this year probably was one of the hardest years for me fighting wise. Only because of the position I was put in PFL. It's not like I was in the regular tournament. I came in as a challenger and then became a contender via alternate, So it was like I always had the mentality to just stay ready. So it was just more so me staying ready, not knowing who I was going to fight and having to just train for everybody. I mean, I train my skills every day. So that wasn't like the main concern, but it was just like getting over those little nerves when you don't know who you're gonna fight and have to fight a person on a day's notice and go out there and perform. So the season's been really up and down. I've definitely experienced all the highs and lows of this season for PFL for sure. I don't know how many people have been in my position, specifically being the alternate 3 times to punch their way to a finals spot, but I'm pretty grateful to even have had the opportunity to experience this because I feel like I've grown so much as a fighter and as a person, knowing and understanding that I can really accomplish so much more than I think I can accomplish by just being ready for opportunities,
Well, I don't have to tell you, most fighters run with the famous saying. I think it was Nate Diaz who started it, but they've probably been saying it since the beginning of time. Anybody, anytime, anywhere.
Anywhere. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
Seriously.
I mean, it's different to say it and it's different to truly act upon it, which is what you had to do that in order to get to the spot to where you are today. And with that said, though, I could ask you, what does it truly mean to you? But I'll just ask you this from a technical standpoint. Like, because if you're a fighter who game plans and studies film and studies your opponent and does all that, that's one thing. But when you continuously have opponent changes and last minute fights, you can't really do that. From a fighting standpoint, what was it like to go through all of this? Was it just, I need to stay focused on sharpening my skills and I don't care who's across from me? How did you approach it?
Yeah, I approached it in a way where I actually was able to become more creative with how I train. So like I train my skills all the time. I train very fundamental skills, but it also made me train my brain in a way where now, as opposed to just training fundamental skills, I'm gonna start getting more creative with certain things that I do. Like there's like everybody knows a jab, right?
Yeah.
But not everybody knows that there's like 20 different ways to throw a jab.
Right.
So you start to get creative like with how you're going to start throwing strikes. You start to get creative with the angles you're gonna use to take those strikes. You start to get more creative with your grappling, like you start taking more risks training wise, because at the end of the day, the whole being an alternate, the whole fighting aspect of things is a risk. So it's like if I'm afraid to take the risk training, I'll probably be afraid to take the risk fighting. So it kind of made me really open up and broaden my spectrum of things that I can do. Like really utilize all the tools that I have in my arsenal that I've like accrued over the years of just training. So when it came to just fighting any random person, it made me confident knowing that like it doesn't matter who you are on any day's notice, I'm gonna be a tough matchup for you. Like I don't care. Like even if I have to game plan, if I don't have time to game plan, like I just know for a fact that if I'm in a cage with you and this can be said across the board, like even with my teammates, they'll tell you like, and they spar with me, they know, like they would tell you like, yo, he's a pretty hard match. He's a pretty hard like matchup for anybody in this gym. Like he's not like a slouch. He's not easy to deal with, like between the range, the footwork, speed. Like everything is just different, you know.
I was actually going to your teammates and your team. I've interviewed quite a few of them. I know a few of them personally. You know, with that being said, a fighter can only go as far as they want to go on their own. You know, it's up to having the right coaches and the right team behind them in order to get them potentially to the best spot that they could possibly be in. And obviously, you're rocking Kill Cliff FC. Man, what is it? What is it like down there? And how do you think they helped you? I know you're talking about your own training and everything, but going through this season and all the roller coaster of a ride that it was, how do you think your team and your gym and your coaches helped you, get through this season?
I think my team and my gym, honestly, the coaches, I feel like everybody. So there's a saying, like it takes a village to raise a child, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like since I've been at Kill Cliff, formerly known as Sanford, I came in there as like one of the youngest fighters, like the kid. I paid my dues, helped people for fights, got beat up, helping people for fights, and then of course then my fair share of beating up people to the point where like I started to understand myself a little better. I feel like being over there helped me mature mentally, more mentally mature more than I've ever been in my whole entire life, entire career. The whole environment there is like a brotherhood. It's like each one teach one, or reach one teach one. I think that's how it goes. I'm not sure, but like I know something, and I'm gonna pass it on to my little brother, and that's kind of like how it is. Is like for instance, Jason Jackson is like my older brother over there. So like he knows something more than he knows more. He has more experience, so he'll bring something down to the table for me to learn, to pick up on. Henry Hoof is another one. He's the coach. He's the head coach over there, and he knows a lot more. He has more experience. He has more fights, and he'll just drop a kernel of knowledge here and there, and certain things that I can really listen to and take in. Greg Jones is like Greg Jones. He's very silent, but he's truly like the captain of the whole squad, because he's another coach. Between Henry and Greg, I feel like Greg is like the voice. Like he's the leader. He's the one he's the one that takes the boys and turns them into men. If that makes sense. Like he shows you the actual capacity to be great that everyone has. Another teammate of mine, Impa Kasong, and I, like he's like another older brother, even though he's been training and fighting a lot less than me. Like
Yeah,
I feel like he's another guy I can look to and I can talk to, and we can always bounce ideas off each other and try new stuff, and then develop new ways to become successful using these new things. I feel like the whole environment over there is like very, very family oriented, of course. And of course, like if you have to fight one of your brothers, you have to fight with your brothers. But that's just how it is. Like at the end of the day, you come back, hash it out, go drink a beer or something, and be cool again. I feel like that environment is very, very different than most gyms. Like the whole ecosystem. We don't have a million coaches over there. We have like five coaches who are probably on the run, because there's like fights every weekend. There's a fighter fighting every weekend over there. So the gym really teaches us to hold ourselves more accountable in our training. If that makes sense.
absolutely. And for me, looking at your team and like you said, formerly Sanford MMA, now Kill Cliff FC. When you look at these big gyms, which it is, sometimes egos get in the way, names get in the way, and certain people just fly under the radar despite having great success in their own right. I think Kill Cliff FC doesn't fit that, right? I don't want to mention other gyms, but you know plenty of them where they're known for fighters 1, 2, and 3, and then 6 months later, you're like, oh, I didn't even know that guy trained there. Yeah, because I'm only focused on 1, 2, and 3. For how great of a team you have, for as many talented and really skilled high class fighters that you have in there, how does that feel for you as a fighter to go, yeah, I know all the names we have here, but I also know I'm not missing a beat in my training and I'm not being overlooked by my coaches?
It feels pretty good, but me as an individual, me as a person, I feel like I haven't played team sports my whole life. I've been on certain teams and, been like the little chimp in the beginning, like Conor McGregor said, you start off as the chimp and then you become the gorilla. I've been the chimp for a really long time. And I feel like just because you become the gorilla doesn't mean you don't have to have the chimp mentality. You're still like not better than anyone. So it doesn't matter if they were giving me attention or if they were not giving me attention. I'm still going to do the work that I needed to do. And I feel like even though they do give everybody the attention that they need, it's still nice to know that that I can go out there and do it by myself. Like I don't need extra coaching, because I feel like that's like the little difference between me being good and me being great, is me understanding that I can do these things on my own. But having them there, knowing that they're watching, and they're like, oh man, I really like this kid. This kid really has a lot of potential. That really helps drive. Like it's a nice driving factor. It keeps me going. Nice little motivating factor.
Well, this year should be a motivating factor for yourself and really for anyone.
Yeah.
Whether you're a fan of the sport or just a fan of you. Like, I mean, you're the way you basically, and I promise I'm not this corny, but the way you literally punch adversity in the face all this season, I mean, my hat is tipped to you 1,000 times, because going in and having to suffer a loss and then taking this fight against Rory MacDonald and everything that took place. You're fighting Rory MacDonald. I know, I'm not asking was there ever a doubt. I know there was never a doubt in your mind that you knew you could win this fight, but did you really see the outcome happening in the way that it did against Rory MacDonald?
That I didn't see. What I did see was that I could potentially win the fight anywhere I wanted to win the fight. That's what I saw. I felt like if the fight were to go the distance, we can go the distance, and I'm going to win. I'm going to come out on top. If the fight were to go via submission, grappling, I feel like Rory's like a legend, but I feel like he's like old MMA. Like he was probably one of the first generations of people to actually be a mixed martial artist and really mix it up. And that's what really makes him so great, like makes him so very unique. But I feel like being at Sanford, I've experienced that. I've seen it already, like it's not something that's new to me. And I feel like now when I go in the cage and I fight people, it's going to be very, very hard to surprise me with something new that I have not seen, because I've seen it all already. And I feel like there's more to see in the gym, of course, when, of course, new people come in, new ideas, new concepts. And I feel like when that comes, and I'll adapt to it, and it'll happen during training. That's when it'll happen the most, during training, and I'll experience it the most during training. But as far as the fight with Rory, I wasn't. I felt like it could have happened anyway. I was definitely not surprised that I knocked him out, but I was definitely like, oh shit, I knocked him out. Like, I'm not gonna lie, for a split second when I hit him and he fell, like literally a split second afterwards, I was like, is he fucking with me?
Well, like you call him a legend, and I think that's the proper way to describe him. Not that you're worried about the mindset of anyone else, but after the fight, and obviously he retired following that, which I think a lot of people have been calling for a little while now. But did you have any feeling like, man, I may be Rory MacDonald's last opponent? And then obviously when you got it done, did you sense anything, in the cage that you're like, oh, I am his last fight?
I felt I'm pretty good at reading energy. So what I felt was I felt like me fighting Rory and me being Rory would have been passing of the torch, if that makes sense. Like I went back and watched a couple of his fights. His most iconic fight against Robbie Lawler, the second one.
Yeah.
The second one. And I watched the whole fight, watched his whole demeanor, watched his whole composure. He was 25. He was the same age as me when he fought Robbie. He was 18-2 when he fought Robbie. When I fought him, I was 9-2. So like I had half his record when I fought him at 25 to fight my way for a belt. Like it kind of put in my mind that like, okay, this really is like everything is like coming to fruition. Like everything is like picture. I'm painting the picture now. Oh wow, he's really passing this down to me. Like when Anderson fought Izzy, it was very similar to that.
Yeah.
And of course, I felt like Anderson could have retired then, but of course he wanted to fight Jerry Cannonier for some reason. But I think it was basically like that, the passing of the torch to me, and now it's my turn. It's my time to go out there and really show people what I can do, really showcase my ability to win fights and my actual talents, because I feel like nobody's really seen anything from me exactly just yet. Like I haven't really shown much, I feel.
which is fun, for everybody who will tune in on November 25th. We'll get to the finals here in a second. We'll talk about the matchup, but the easiest question upon entering this tournament, upon being with the PFL, is that the light at the end of the tunnel, which always feels weird, right? When you're talking to a fighter early on during the season, because you have no idea. And also really with the way the PFL is always ever changing, you have no idea before the night of the fight. It's not until, both fighters are in the cage that you're consistently set on what the fight is. So I guess the corny question is, if you do go in there and do what you expect to do, what does $1 million do? I mean, I know what it does for everyone, but what does it do for you just as a person? And then what does that fulfillment do for you as a fighter? Because I know it's not over after this. You got a long way to go.
This is just the beginning.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but it's the first step in many to a long championship career you have ahead of you. But what does $1 million do for you?
$1 million. Well, first off, $1 million gives me the opportunity to really provide for my family. Like buy my mom a house. Give her somewhere to actually stay, as opposed to like no, my mom take care of my brothers. Put them in a good place. And I feel like once I can get that worry out of my head, I can really focus on what I need to do, as opposed to feeling like I need to fight to survive. Even though like fighting is like surviving, but I feel like it's different when you have the ability to provide and take care of your family, and then be able to go out there worry free and actually perform to the best of your ability, because you know what you're capable of, you know what you can do. You're not afraid to take the risk because you're afraid to lose. I feel like that as a fighter is pretty big, because you get paid 2 checks. Like, you get paid to show up, and then if you win, you get another check. And that right there is already like the mental factor, because I feel like PFL is a very rare organization, because it's the only tournament where a guy like me, nobody knew about, can come through and run through a bunch of guys and fight for $1 million, And there's people who go their whole careers and never even see $1 million.
Sometimes fighters don't even see 6 figures. And I do mean this when I say this is going to be something. I always make clips of these podcast episodes for social media, endorsement, but that's one I'm going to clip your answer right there. And I just want every casual MMA fan, combat sports fan, or sports fan in general to hear what you just said. Because as a guy who started off doing podcasting, covering the NFL and NBA, once I truly found mixed martial arts, and it started off with the UFC, and I've obviously grown over the past 7-8 years, with other, promotions, I find so much more enjoyment and passion in talking to a Dilano Taylor than talking to a Tom Brady. Because Tom Brady's going to have another game. He's going to throw another interception and another touchdown. Aaron Rodgers, whoever you want to put in there. LeBron James will take another free throw, miss another dunk. All that will happen. But there is a sense of reality can strike that one fight and forever changes your life. You may not get back in the cage for another 2 years. And I'm not saying you specifically, but fighters have been out for 3 years because of personal issues, because of health issues. This isn't, it's not a game that we play. It's an art that, and I shouldn't say we, because I'm not in there, but it's an art that is truly crafted by men and women of a truly special caliber, and I hate to ride on people who are always in the spotlight, but Joe Rogan says it best. It's high level problem solving at an elite level. And that's something that sticks with me. So I thank you for being so like open about it, because, anyone can use $1 million these days, given the pandemic and what it's done for everybody, but it also comes with a belt. And there are some people who get a belt and they've reached the mountaintop, right? Like, I've got it. This is what I worked for. But in the way that the PFL is structured, anybody could be another Dilano Taylor next year.
Anybody can get the belt.
Right?
Yeah.
So literally the hunter can become the hunted. And right now that's where you're at. If everything goes according to plan, how will you look to move forward, with the PFL or whichever you decide to do in your future? But how would you really kind of look at your career with the belt around your waist?
With the belt around my waist, I already thought about this, like, because I already know I'm winning this belt. I already know, like, there's no doubt in my mind I'm winning this belt. But my whole my whole game plan after this moving forward is to do another run in PFL, but not as the ultimate, as the champ, as the guy who's in there to win it. You know, like fair matchups. I feel like all the matchups for me were technically I was not supposed to win any of these fights. So I feel like all the matchups for me, I came into PFL 7-1. Think about that.
Right.
7-1.
Right.
Came into PFL 7-1. So all the matchups are already not unfavorable for me. That's fine. I don't care. I'll fight anybody. But I feel like now, as the champ, there's no debate whether or not I would be good enough to fight a guy like, of course, Magomed, Rory, or another guy like Ray Cooper, because there's no more question now. You know, like I'm the champ. Like, what can you tell me that nobody else can tell me? I'm the champ, me. You know, so I feel like I want to do another run respectably for myself because there's more guys to find in PFL that I haven't seen yet, and I want to see all these guys. Even if I have to just do one more run through PFL, that's fine. I don't care. But I want to see these guys, let them know, and establish my name in PFL first before I do anything else. You know, I feel like there's still a lot more room for me to grow and develop in PFL right now. And then after that, I can move forward to wherever other venture that I want to do. But until then, PFL's PFL. PFL's the move. PFL's home. It's my second home right now.
I've got two more on the PFL, and I'll ask you about your opponent. You know, one thing I think might be an interesting wrinkle is, you know, the self-proclaimed, and it's hard to argue against her, and I won't argue against her because I like my limbs intact. But Kayla Harrison calling herself the queen of women's MMA, and again, hard to discredit her for that, right? But she also created a lot of headlines when she first said, I think this will be my last season with PFL. Meaning, and then everyone was like, oh my God, she's leaving PFL. But no. She's just not going through the season format, and she's just going to look for the biggest fights possible. Obviously, we know there's been chatter of a Chris Cyborg, Bellator crossover, cross-promotion fight. I think fighters like yourself, again, all goes according to plan for you, that should open up another door possibly if PFL is willing to continue and not just do it for Kayla Harrison. I love where your head's at in terms of there's other guys in the PFL I want to get through as well next year. But is this something where, especially with the label champ, like people got to listen when you talk? Is this something that you would possibly entertain, calling out other fighters from other promotions to come over to PFL and test it in next year?
Of course. Absolutely. Yes. I feel like I didn't come in the sport to be average. I didn't even come in the sport to make money. I just fought for fun. Like I used to fight I fought many fights for free. Like it wasn't even like a thing that I wanted to do I didn't do this for money, you know, like, and then I started making money, and then it became, okay, now it's time to make money, you know. But prior to that, it was like, oh, free fade for everybody. Everybody gets a free fade, you know. But now it's like it's different. Now once I know I'm in a position to where my mom's good, my brothers are good, cool, I'm good, cool. Now I want to go out there and I want to be the best. I'm not an average fighter. I feel like I'm not an average individual. I wasn't born to be average. And I prove that to myself daily. You know, like I test myself daily doing that. Like I get up, I keep my discipline. I do this daily because I know I'm not average. So now I want to go out there and really show people how non-average that I am. Not even people. Forget the people. I want to show myself. I want to keep proving myself right over anything else. I want to keep proving myself right that I'm not average. Anybody put me in this cage where I will beat them up. Like however the fight goes. Like that's what I want to keep proving to myself, and I want to keep showing that to myself. And then the people, you know.
Well, there's no better way to sell a fight. And I'm sorry if I butcher his name, but sometimes I joke around that I'm like the Joey Diaz of MMA podcasting because I can't say words for anything. But your opponent, Sadibou Sy, November 25th in the PFL championship. I don't need a technical breakdown, but what do you make of him as your opponent with the $1 million on the line, with the belt on the line? You said coming into the Rory fight, you knew no matter where the fight went, you were confident and knew you could get the job done. I don't take nothing away from you. Like I just said when we started talking for the first time ever, you're one of my favorites to watch and compete. So I know you have that same mindset coming in here, but some people could, and I'm not you, but some fighters let the stage overtake the assignment. And I'm just curious how you're looking at him as an opponent with everything on the line.
I'm looking at him as another person with 2 arms and 2 legs that I got to beat up. Skill set wise, he's pretty good. He's a good fighter, and I love good fighters. I love to be able to go out there and test myself. Like, I don't think there's ever been any fighter on my record that's been a can. You know, like you have a lot of guys who are can crushers. Like they'll crush cans till they get to the top, and that's fine. You know, I'm glad for them. I'm happy that they're making the bag the way they want to make the bag. I'm happy for them. You know, that they're able to do that and, you know, provide for their family, of course. But me, I'm not average. Like I said, I don't want to go out there and keep doing the same exact thing. You know, like I want to go out there and really test something new. Like for a long time, and I still do this to this day. It's like I go out in fights, regardless to how much money I'm making or whatever. I go out in fights, and I put in my mind that I want to practice something new in this fight. Like I want to drill something new for myself in this fight, so I can become more confident and in doing it in other fights. You know, like there's been fights where I was like, all right, only this fight, I'm only going to throw jabs and calf kicks. That's all I want to throw. Jabs and calf kicks. That's all I'm going to do. And then I started doing it, and then it started becoming more of a staple for me. It started to become more comfortable. And now when I throw it, it's seamless. Like I don't think about it. I don't hesitate. I've gone in fights where I was like, okay, all right, in this fight, I only want to go southpaw. I'm only going to go southpaw in this fight. I'm not comfortable southpaw, so I'm going to go southpaw. Cool. Go out there and fight a person southpaw just to see if I can do it. I can do it, clearly. And then, well, I haven't shown it yet in PFL, but I can do it. But I go southpaw, and I pick certain things that I want to do. And in this fight, there's going to be something that, you know, I want to do that I'm going to do. So I'm going to do it. I'm not going to.
I don't need it. I don't want it, honestly. Yeah, because, you know, people start sending, they'll take this and they'll clip and they'll put it out there. Yeah, I don't need all that. But what I do need is, you know, you're 10-2 right now. After everything's said and done, if all goes according to plan, you'd be 11-2, $1 million paycheck, a world title. Your career is just getting started. Dilano Taylor, when I say that, when I lay that out there, looking back at life, your career so far, now I know I already kind of asked that, but when it's said out loud to you, when you just look at everything, I know what the $1 million does financially for you and your family. I know what a world title does for your fighting career and your legacy. But what does it all mean when you look back at it? And I know it's not here yet, but what would it mean when you take one moment to reflect and look back at your entire journey?
When I take a moment to look at my entire journey, I think for me, what it'll tell me is how resilient I am. Like, how resilient I am, how focused I can be, the type of heart that I have as an individual and as a fighter as well. Because it'll really show me, it'll show me my character. I feel like people take a lot of these things for granted just because they're simple, but they're very simple, important things as a human being and as a person, because you meet a lot of people who have no integrity, no character for themselves. Like they quit on themselves too easy. They don't have a heart when it comes to doing certain things, actually. And that's actually one of the reasons why I call myself the postman, is because I wanted to deliver a message like that, actually, to show people that they can be who they want and do what they want, and show them that, like, no matter what adversity comes in front of them or what issues may arise, they can rise to the occasion if they really put the focus and if they're really resilient. Because, you know, tough times don't last. Solid people do. And throughout PFL, I've experienced the highs and lows of everything. You know, I've been resilient. I've been ready for opportunities. I've been so focused on winning more than anything else that it's gotten me to the point where I'm at right now. You know, and basically the postman is to deliver that message. I will deliver that message to people. Seize the opportunities and do the things you need to do to provide for who you need to provide for, even if it's just yourself. You know, and of course deliver a fade here or there. I'm just using I'm using my platform to do that. That's what I'm using my platform to do. Everybody has their own thing that they do. Fighting is my thing. That's what I do, and that's how I deliver my message.
Well, it's a beautiful message, and it's one I think sometimes I feel only professional fighters can send that message in a way differently than other athletes in other sports want to send that message. But can't really do it in the way that I feel a professional fighter can do. So I'm going to end on this. Maybe I'll tell you a little bit of my personality. You mentioned earlier, sometimes you just grab a drink and move forward.
Mhm.
What is your drink of choice?
Oh man, I don't even drink.
There you go.
Yeah,
I
don't
love
even
it.
drink.
I
I don't
love it.
drink.
No vices for you.
Nah, food. Food's my vice. I ain't no Patty Pendleton or nothing.
No,
But
no.
food, yeah, food's my vice. Yeah, that's
I
about
love it. I love. Then I'll ask you, what is your food? Like, what is your dish of choice? Let's say everything goes according to plan. What is the first meal you're gonna have?
I always eat pancakes right after.
All right.
Fat
Okay.
old stack of pancakes.
See, I'm not a breakfast person. Not a breakfast
Man,
person.
I love breakfast. I eat breakfast. I can eat breakfast any time of the day. But yeah, breakfast that's gonna be the first meal after I win. I'm gonna go eat some pancakes. That's probably if there's no pancakes available, all right, I'll settle for whatever is available. But pancakes is always the food of choice. I feel like I put in my mind that pancakes is winter food. Like I just won, I'll get my pancakes. That's my thing. Yeah.
Well, you're gonna get some bread, some gold, and some pancakes.
Yes,
November
sir.
25th, as long as everything goes. As I really do feel, and like I said, I'm not here to play favorites or anything, but
Mhm.
I think you have a great story. I think you deliver a very strong message. Yeah, I tip my cap to you. I think some fighters would walk away when things weren't going their way, or go
Mhm.
back to the drawing board and hold themselves back. You just put your foot on the gas, and I give you all the credit in the world for that. So hopefully this won't be the
Appreciate you.
last time we talk. And, you have a open lifetime invite on this show. So November 25th, Dilano Taylor in the PFL Championship. Thank you very much, sir, for your time, and hope to talk again soon.
Sir, yes, sir. Appreciate you, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you.